I get the sense, so everybody is so different that I work with and speak with. And I get the sense with you, these types of teachings, when I do that, that they're really not suitable for you. Like they just don't suit you. They're not for you. And so you can just ignore it. Really from every teacher that you take a gem, like take a gem. Like I don't have like a fixed teaching, and that isn't truth, what I said. That's a perspective. And and that might sound like really contradictory to people, and often people like one teaching that, yeah, is linear and works for everybody. But in the end, these are all thoughts, and what we are is that empty looking that's looking out. And so for you, I feel like focusing on more who you are and not these thoughts about karma and being in flow. Because I think that if you talk about being in flow, then um, yeah, there is some difficult energies that come up, and you can look at that sometimes, but most of the time, it's not like I would avoid them, but I wouldn't touch them too much because they're like a vortex. Like you go in there and then you get stuck in these like negative energies, and then this kind of disturbs the body, and then the body being disturbed sort of encourages them. And thoughts are just thoughts, and those were just stories that I were telling from a certain perspective. And you can just drop it and focus more on like I am and empty looking. There's certain characters that I just know that these types of words just don't work for. But then there's other characters that these types of things really resonate for. And in the end, eventually, there will just be flow happening. But don't focus too much on it, because then you'll focus on what you're doing wrong and that you're not drinking the green smoothies and doing the yoga. And that's just distraction. Like it's not about comparison. Like you can be free and you can, be eating the worst types of food. Don't get fixated on that. These things can settle down the mind because the body and the mind are connected, but they're not a necessity. So it's more like the I am, the empty looking, and then this presenting yourself to non-duality. Like I feel that really resonates for you, when you listen to non-duality, and then when the flow takes over, and like going to India and looking at these different uh I've forgotten what that's called, karma puncture places. I'd never know if I get that word right. If that happens, like let that flow happen. But then if the flow isn't there, then it's just keep coming back to what's happening. So Roger, my teacher, he was very much, speaking to me about like in every given moment, you've got to do what you feel like doing. But that didn't trigger me into making me feel bad. Like, so that was a very like a teaching that worked for me. But it doesn't mean that that works for everybody. And if it doesn't, like just push it away and then focus on what does. There could be other teachings that he most probably would teach and they made me feel rotten and something, but he maybe didn't do that, so I didn't really experience them. No. Like if he was going on about like you've got to have a pristine intellect. Actually, he did used to say that sometimes. And then he was like, you got to have a pristine intellect and understand all the concepts. And that was not a possibility for me because my mind is like a bit hubbly jubbly. And the way it works, it gets a bit confuddled easily. And some teachers teach that you've got to have supreme intellect, like clarity of intellect. And so just don't go there, just go with what flows. And you can explore with a teacher, or you could explore with someone the seeking patterns that arise in you when somebody says something like that. But I wouldn't do it by yourself, because by yourself you're mostly just beating yourself up and telling yourself what you've done wrong, and that's not true. There's so many amazing qualities about Isabel. Like there's so much that you can do and that you have done and you have achieved. And yeah, so
Yes.
more just focusing on I am looking, the empty looking, and then satsang.